Hi. Hi, boo-boo. Hi, boo-boo. I know. So I'm just going to give it a minute to let people gather. So, Gavin and I are just chilling out. Hi. Hi, guys. And just kind of, hey. Yay. Okay. Jen. All right, I'm just going to put my glasses on so I can see. You can see my blue came out with my blue shirt, so it's working. All right, let's see. Jessica. Hey, Brittany. Cayenne. Thanks for asking. Whitney. Ladybug. Black Rose. You guys are awesome. Thank you for coming. Lori. Deco Painter and Tea. Deco Painter and Tea. Oh, I just got that. Hi, Crystal. Little Dove. Thank you for asking, Margie. I'm just kind of, so I'm calling you. It's been a long day. I was actually on 2 radio shows today, and I did something really cool. I actually videotaped one of the radio shows, and I'm putting that on the Patreon because that was really fun. I don't know if I'm allowed to use it for public consumption, so I'm going to put it over there. And what else? So that was kind of fun. So I'm just going to check in with you guys. Ooh, hi, Nikki. Good to see ya. Oh, gosh, how fun, Tina. Good to see you. Kale Art Ron. Give me a T. Give me an... Kale, are you so funny? All right. Yay. Hi, Glam Dolly. Good to see you. I just missed you guys. You know, I didn't have a whole lot, but I thought I would just jump on and share with you some of the things that are going on in my world and, you know, how everything has changed since I started the channel. Well, actually, I'm going to be honest. I started the channel in 2009, but I never really did anything with it. So, you know, oh, thank you. Blue is autism awareness. Great. I guess that I'm proud of that. Okay, good for that. Yeah. So, as I put in the little description I said about, you know, UK being an author, and I've got, it's very interesting because I want to share with you a little bit about the journey of an author and being successful in that. And one of the things that's fascinating about us talking about true crime, so I'm going to talk about that, and my trip to, I'm going to London, I'm going to Birmingham, and I'm going to somewhere else, and I can't remember. It's in the tour thing, but yeah. So I know the new baby in the UK, Archie. So I'll be doing predictions for the new baby with a major newspaper there, because I'm excited about the UK, and I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to talk about the royal baby, and I'm going to be going on tour, just a mini tour with my Chakra Wisdom Tarot. And before I even get into that, I want to tell you all something that kind of, I don't know if you have gone into my my comment section. You know, there's like a, it's say discussion up on top of the channel. Anyway, somebody commented, and I love her, she's great. And she commented about me saying, you know, something about how, and I'm really paraphrasing, but I love what you do. I love what you say. However, I'm really thinking I want you to do less of this tarot thing and less of that, because it's not okay in the Bible, and it's bad, right? And what was interesting to me was I was able to basically say that part of me is this person that is spiritual. Part of me is this person that reads tarot, and I do that kind of stuff. And I said, however, I'm really happy that both you and what I said was basically that I feel that I am not in a position to give back a gift I was given by God. Like, I feel that the gift of intuition, of sharing my intuitive hits with people, this is a gift. This is something I feel important that is, you know, that I give, right? And it shows up in my writing too, and I'm going to talk about my writing too, because that's important in this. But I said to her, you know, this is a gift from God, and I don't want to turn it back. And I said that I'm really glad that both you and I have found our relationship with God that brings us peace. And I think that's something I want to start with, is like, you know, I don't want to get up in people's grill about their faith, you know. And let me just say hi, Sherry Osborne, PT. Oh, yay, UK. Thank you for £2. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Appreciate the super chat. London's expensive, you guys. So, but anyway, it was very interesting. And I want to say that, you know, I have a faith, and I just feel like, you know, I don't want to tell you how to believe. I mean, if that's what calls you, you do it, you know, if you're not harming anyone, you know, that's the big thing. And I use this association in a radio interview today. And I said, you know, it's kind of like having a gun, right? A gun and a tarot deck is not hurting anyone. It's not in and of itself evil. It's the person that touches it that makes the difference between good and evil. They both protect, and they can also be things that we torture ourselves with. So I just want to say that up front, and I'm going to talk about writing and all that stuff. Hi, armchair detectives. Good to see you. You will be found. Yes, you will. But if you were at a church and called yourself a prophet, you would be accepted. Yeah, I think that that's the thing. And by the way, Michelle Diarcos, thank you for the super chat. That's very kind of you. Love it. I'm doing that. Judy Ron does that. So, good evening, Yasmin. Thank you, Planet Sleaze. Woo, loving you. Thank you, Crystal Silverheart. And the thing I want to say is that the big thing is that, and I think all of you will relate to this, especially for me, I really enjoy following true crime. I like to see how people think. I like to see their motives and what's going on in their world and in our world, right? But I think what's important here is that, you know, when it comes to all this kind of stuff, I want people to be who they are. You know, I don't want to only pick and choose parts of you. I can't do that. And I don't think that that's, you know, and it's like, if you don't like what I have to say, then don't watch, right? So it was very funny. Years ago, I was in a class with somebody, and it was a spiritual new agey kind of class. And, you know, I used to do a lot of those tree hugging things. And this woman, please call me. And so finally somebody called on her, and they said, she said, I'm really having this problem. And the instructor said, well, what's the problem? And she said, whenever I think about this, I'm really upset. I'm really stressed. It's really terrible what's happening, all this stuff. And then there was a pause, and I just mumbled I said, then don't think about it, you know? And he said, don't think about it. And it's funny because it was like so direct and so sharp a moment that I kind of went, yeah, don't think about it. It's like, you know, I think that the meaning we make of stuff, Gavin, you want to say hi? Not really. He's a little punk today. But, you know, the meaning we make of things is going to determine the outcome of our life. I mean, that's really the bottom line. So I was going to talk about my writing a little bit. And thank you, Cruise Boston. I'm really so grateful for my moderators. They're really exceptional people. And just a shout out to you guys. Black Rose 11, Cruise Boston. I don't know who else is here right now, but you guys rock. Let's see. Okay, so the thing I know, my little Gabby poo. So let me talk about being a writer. Anybody on here a writer? You write, you want to be an author, you want to, I'm asking because, you know, I've always wanted to write. And I think some of you know my story. From the time I was 5 till I was 15, my mother told me I had no command of the language. So she wrote my papers for me from the time I was 5 to 15. I hope none of my teachers are watching because I might have now failed 5th grade. But anyway, she always got A's. She was really talented. And just want to do a shout out. Margie Rock, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Anyway, so from the time I was little, I wanted to write. And my mother wouldn't let me because she was the only writer allowed in the house. Now, when she died when I was 15, I felt I had to work 3, 5, 7, 9 times harder than anybody else in order to be a writer. And so I worked really hard at it. And I just want to kind of catch up with you guys for a second. First time commenting. Aussie, good to see you. Especially when you got, okay, Oh, thank you, Aussie. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Sorry it's on your drive home. Yeah. Jessica, good to see you. Okay. So a couple things I want to say is that, when my mom died, and obviously, I had nowhere to go. I had to figure out how to write, Anyway, what I wanted to show you guys is that from when I was little, my mother, who was a Roman Catholic, and my dad was Jewish, so you figure that one out, right? They sent me to an Episcopal church. And what happened as a result of me going to an Episcopal church is I would sit there at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and I'm watching, I'm listening to the preacher, and he's going, and you're evil, and you have to repent, and a lot of this stuff. And I was listening, and I'm going, I already get this at home. Why am I coming here for this? And I'm only like 7, and I'm thinking that. I'm going, I don't want to be told I'm bad. And so for me, and that's an early impression, organized religion always, it brought up for me feeling less than. And I later went to some great services in my life, and I enjoyed them, but it never really hung with me. And I think it's because when I was little, I would look at images of cards and I would tell stories. And so and I'm just showing you some of my cards right now. This is the Hanged Woman. And yes, my nail color is an exact color to the Hanged Woman. Let's see. From Scotland, I've tried writing for years, but very self-conscious about it. Anyone that can beat the thoughts. Yeah, well, those are hard, vintage, hard. So this is the Hanged Woman, and this is Judgment. And these are chakra cards, chakra as well, by the way. One of the things I want to say about this is that when I would look at cards, my imagination came to life, and it was just something that I could speak, and my mother didn't interfere with my brain. And by the way, if you think of it, guys, give this a thumbs up. Please share with your friends. Just jump on to Twitter or on the thing and just where it says share. Just because I want to be able to keep my channel alive and get subscribers and stuff like that. So if you could give a thumbs up, that really helps. And then of course, go ahead and subscribe so that way you'll know when I'm live. Okay, so oh God, let's see. Rachel, it says, a psychic when I was 10 years old, she said I would write and be successful, waiting on that. Okay, well, it says you can. Oh, Déjeuner. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Canadian, is it me or are you lagging? I'm always lagging. I got to tell you, today I feel like I'm lagging. I don't know, maybe I am. Oh, Julie, good to see you. And I remember I told you I did an entire, did I do that with Monty and Amy? But I did a thing about Colorado being Capricorn. Shanann Watts' death, she's a Capricorn. There's just so much stuff going on because Saturn's hitting Capricorn, Uranus is hitting Capricorn, Jupiter's hitting Capricorn. You've got all this stuff hitting Capricorn, and Colorado's Capricorn. So it's going to bring up a lot of stuff in Colorado. So that said, okay, good. Thank you, Cruise Boston. All right. So, yeah, right. Oh, you did see it. Yeah, Julie, chakra and tarot cards. What's the difference? Great question. Okay. First of all, they are not related. So just so you know, I put them together, but they're not related. The chakra are 7 energy centers in your body, and they actually came about from thousands of years ago. And what what it was at the time is that a lot of, I want to say Chinese culture, a lot of Asian cultures, they created as you guys have heard of acupuncture. So the nadis are energy centers, and that's what a chakra is. It's a wheel of energy in your body. Well, acupuncture is actually using the chakra or nerve ending points in your body, right? Because they're nerve clusters is what nadis means. To put this into English, the real brilliance of chakra is that it was used in acupuncture. It actually is a way of ascending into holiness. And it's a way of it's kind of the Buddhist idea that we start with our root and we move up through the chakras that are in our body. They're energy centers. Our fifth chakra is communication. Our sixth is the third eye. And then the seventh is outside our body. It's the universal consciousness that we all connect to. So why this is important is that the actual chakra, a lot of people go, oh gosh, that's thousands of years old. Well, not so fast. I was asked to do a book on the chakra and on the history, and I was like, oh, I'm excited. And it's for St. Mark's. It's coming out in November. Anyway, so I did this book, and I'm working on it, and I'm doing this research, and I found out there is no ancient chakra. In 1972, at Esalen in California, the self-actualization movement happened. And they brought together mind-body connection, the idea, well, they were all smoking pot, right? They were all smoking and doing all these drugs. And while they were dropping these drugs, they saw colors, they saw the rainbow colors. That developed into the rainbow body. It developed into other things. So the chakra as we know it in our culture, the seven major chakra, which are the seven body centers, those seven energy centers, we all have them, right? Those seven energy centers are a very westernized idea. Now, it doesn't mean they don't work. It just means they're westernized. So when I talk about chakra wisdom tarot, the idea is that it has taken, I've taken actually a tarot deck, a traditional tarot deck, and I've turned them into chakra colors. So you could see the different cards with different colors, and there's 7 basic colors of the rainbow. And so that really is how it works. And every single one of these cards, they have a particular energy and a particular meaning. Now, the chakra itself are 7 energy centers. The tarot has 78 cards. What's very interesting, and stop me if you guys are like completely bored with this. Let's see, I was going to say, where did tarot cards come from? Okay, in history. Okay, so tarot cards they're thousands of years old. That sounds like me and mine got screwed on that 5th chakra. You might have. It's manifesting. So what we're talking about here is that the tarot itself is 4 suits. So some of you have seen cups or wands or swords, and they call them pentacles. I call them coins because it's physical things, right? So the coins or the pentacles are the round, the coin shapes. So what this is those 4 suits are from our major playing card deck. You guys have heard of this. It's like, I want to say okay, bear with me. Cups in the tarot are hearts in the regular playing cards. Wands are clubs. The coin or pentacle is the diamond because it's material good, and the sword is the spade. Now, in the regular playing card deck that we have, right? Great. So the regular playing cards have, and there's ace through 10, and then there's jack, queen, king. Well, in the tarot, there's one more card, and it's the page. So it goes page, knight, queen, king. Now, the reason that's important is that in the playing card deck, they pulled out the page. The page card in my deck, it's the princess. She's the spiritual messenger. She's the one that's bringing wisdom and intelligence to the world. And she's bringing you spiritual messages. She was pulled out of the playing card deck. So in the tarot, there's 56 of the minor arcana, and there's 4 suits. And each one of these suits represents a certain day-to-day energy. Now I'm going to get to the chakra in a second, but the journey that you've heard of is the Fool's Journey. Now, when we talk about the Fool's Journey, it's kind of like the hero's journey, right? Joseph Campbell. The difference in this deck is that there has never been in any deck a woman as the fool. The fool is always a guy jumping off a cliff and looking happy because he's taking a risk. In this, the woman she's a red chakra card, first chakra. So she's grounded into the earth and she comes in with her family DNA. She comes in with who she is. So each of the cards in my deck, I added chakra to it. And as I added chakra to it, it took on a whole new meaning. And what that is that it becomes super simple. If you know astrology, there's also astrology and planets in here. So you can actually pull the cards and kind of go, oh, I understand it. And it's sort of like if you can imagine that we speak English here, right? But it would be like having a Spanish translation. So there's astrology, there's tarot, and there's chakra. So if you know what the chakra means and you're pulling a card, you're going to know what that card means. So let's see. Oh, Margaret Paul, thank you for the super chat. Yay. Bonnie, good to see you. Anybody new here? Hi, Ange. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I think Dawn was calling herself a fool. So that's okay. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you. Yeah. Welcome, Armchair Detectives. Thank you. Fancy Schmancy Cards. Thank you, Lisa. Melissa, I'm glad you're saying that. Melissa Costner said, I used to think it was bad, but I believe it's all about intent. It is about intent. And one of the things that I was calling myself Cinderella, but I have updated that. Oh, okay, Ange, I know who you are. Okay, so yeah, they're kind of fancy schmancy. What I did was I wanted color. And I wanted something that anyone could relate to. I think they're mixed in. Some are upside down, some are right side up. Hey, Gail, good to see you. Yeah, the Fool is absolutely beautiful, isn't it? It's actually, I don't know, because I did so many interviews today that I'm a little bit tired. Here it is. Here's the Fool. Just because of you, Nikki, I'm going to put this up. There we go. There's the Fool. And you can see that she's absolutely stunning. And she has come into this world. This is her coming into the world is a risk. Being born is a risk. Living is a risk. And so this idea is that it's like the thing that's very important about this is that we take risks in our everyday life. And so what I want to talk about is more the journey of becoming, for me, really being an author and being a writer. And I had, it was funny today. I recognized, gosh, I have the life of a writer. I had 2 radio interviews for the deck. One was a Skype interview. The other one I recorded with Zoom. So I'll be posting that on my Patreon page for those of you who are Patreon. And by the way, my Patreon's like $5 a month. It's not a big charge, but also my Cindy Watts face reading is over there. So I'm putting things on that page that I think I would get kind of like slammed for over here. So, but that interview was very interesting today, and I'll be putting more of my interviews about the tarot over there. But today I'd had the 2 interviews, and it was really funny. In the middle of it, I had messaged a publisher that I want to work with on something. I had met with him when I was in New York, and I said, oh, what do you think of this idea? And he loved it. He goes, the writing's great, and da-da-da. And then he said, well, I think we need to do something. And then in the middle of the night, I came up with the title. Boop. And I messaged him on Facebook, and I said, hey, I got the title. I think it's really good. And he called me today in between my radio interviews. And I thought, wow, I'm living the life of an author. This is the life I designed. And I want to talk about life by design because I think that, we're all scared. It's always like that moment of, so we were talking about this last night in my writing group, and I've talked about this a lot when I talk about writing. And one of the things that comes up for me, you guys will love this. Years ago, Tori story time. Okay, so years ago, I went to dinner with a friend in New York. And of course, I had 3 nickels to rub together because I was a writer. She was the one who had a job. So we went to my favorite restaurant and we had dinner and we're sitting there and she was kind of not saying what she was really feeling or whatever. And we walked outside. And my first book had been published. And she looked at me and she was very successful. And she said, I really envy you. I go, envy me? I'm living in a 2-story walk-up. You live in the pretty penthouse apartment. And she said, I know. She said, but she said, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you write. And I said, okay, do you want the secret to writing? She said, yeah. I said, I sit down at the computer and I write. And I said, I am not trying to be flippant. I'm not trying to be funny. I sit my ass down and I write. And that's the secret to writing. And she said, but what do you do when you get stuck? I said, I write like hell. I just write anything. I just write, put in here, blah, blah, blah. And I keep going. And, I realized that writing is just like going, it's like running or it's exercising or it's like if you're going to release weight. Because I never say lose weight, right? Because if you lose weight, if you go on a diet and you lose weight, you're going to find the weight again. Because if your goal is to lose weight, you'll lose the weight, but then you've reached your goal and you'll go back to gaining the weight so you can keep reaching for your goal. So if your intention is to lose weight, then you have to set up the next part of it. So what I was saying to her is that writing is like anything you do. I've never, ever, ever seen a child who has ADD when they're playing a video game. I just haven't seen it. And because they get better and better and better. And the thing that happens is they don't give up. So that is I want to write about being here. Okay, cool. Not exciting. Why is it not exciting, Gail? That's ridiculous. I mean, of course it's exciting. You wrote it. Let's see. Capricorn. Yeah. Okay. First of all, everybody who's a Capricorn, you need to know Saturn is sitting on you and it means you'll be rewarded for hard work, but it's a pain in the ass. I'm a dieter and that's truth as well. Oh, Glam Dolly. Well, that's the thing. Okay. All good writing advice, although going back and editing and referencing can be even more excruciating. You know what's interesting, Timothy? I'm glad you said that. One of the things that I really learned especially in this last book, my chakra book, which is St. Martin. It's coming out in November. I was completely stuck because, as I mentioned, there was no history of chakra. There was no history. People were like, and I had all these people going, oh, there's ancient history and all of these chakra experts. And I was going, uh-oh. So I'm supposed to write a book. And they're like, write a book about but you know what? I'm not going to lie. It started in Esalen when they were dropping acid. This is the thing, is that what I don't like, and this is my own pet peeve, and I'm sure you guys will recognize this, I don't like when these experts get up and pontificate crap that, you know what? Because they're afraid to tell you the truth. And I called it in the book, I called it, what was it? Something amnesia. It was historical amnesia because they just forget. They conveniently forget there's like hundreds of year gaps in the history of chakra. And they go, well, yes, it was Hindu. And then it came down to us and then we just have it. And it's like, well, okay, fine. But the thing about it is that I was sitting there with this book and I went, okay, God, what am I going to do here? Because this isn't authentic. Now you can imagine I was really up against it because I really wanted this book to work because it was with St. Martin, which is I love that publisher. And I love Joel, my publisher there. I've known him 25 years, never done a project with him. And my agent, and I called my agent and I said, okay, I got a problem. He said, what? I said, there is no history. I said, I can't write this book. There's no history. And he went, well, what do you mean there's no history? And so I explained to him and then he went, oh. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to write the book I know how to write. And that's going to be a book about starting with your own intuitive energy, your own chakra wisdom, how to get in touch with your own person, right? And this ties into writing. And one of the things I talked about in there, and I think you guys will understand it. Have you ever said to somebody, I want to be in balance or I want to find my balance? And people, a lot of people who work with chakra will say, well, you want to balance your chakra. And I'm like, okay. And then they go into these exercises about balancing chakras. Well, here's the funny thing. I want you to imagine, right? A German doctor hundreds of years ago came up with the temperature, thermometer, we take our temperature, and it's 98.6. And that's the standard. But how many of you are 98.6? The truth is most of us are not 98.6. Like I myself I'm 97.2. That's my normal temperature. So everybody's temperature varies in their body. So when we're talking about energy balancing, I have to balance you to your vibration. I can't balance to 98.6 because it's never going to be right for me. So in a sense, what I work with in this book is I talk about how to find your own resonance, your own energy. And when you find that, you can harmonize to that energy, and then you can write, you can do whatever you want. It's not about being in balance. It's about personal harmony. And so whatever you do in life is really about you. Okay, so let's see, 37 Celsius. Okay, great. Yeah, see? Oh, wow, I thought it was just me. I'm 98.1. Exactly. Gail, I'm low. Yep. So let's see. Not all can do that we all have is, wait, I'm trying to understand what you said, Melissa, here. Not all can do that. We all have a gift, and have a gift. I don't know what that means, but I think it's probably very wise. I want to find out my why. What kind of why do you want, Gail? What kind of WHY do you want? I'm Sag. Virgo. Can I tell you something? I have the most brilliant Virgo friend who's a writer. The thing is, she's limited to, she writes historical fiction. She actually just came out with a wonderful, I think it's a YA book on Louisa May Alcott. Brilliant book. She is like Virgo, and it's like, she gets her information and it's brilliant. Now, I wish I could organize like her. My house always looks like a bomb went off. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say this to you. If you need focus, if you put focus in the work, you'll find the needed information. You will. Timothy our day is right. What is my purpose? A human with purpose, I think, is one of the most powerful things. All right, I am going to tell you the secret to purpose. But here's the thing about my telling you the secret to purpose. You all know it already. That's the first thing. I have a course that I teach online that's called Life Purpose Divination. And you already know your purpose. So I'm going to start there. But the secret of your purpose is always hidden in your greatest wounds. So just to give you an example, one of my greatest wounds is that I was never allowed to write in my family. Only my mother was allowed to write. And again, because I thought I had to write 7 times more, like I had to work 7 times harder, I didn't know that writing was that hard because I just thought I was stupid, according to my mother. So what happened is your wounding becomes your purpose. And most people spend their time in their life trying to get over their wounding. They try to get past it, ignore it, put it behind, heal it so it's no longer part of their life. And the truth is that your wounding is the thing you know best. You know your wounding like a bee knows his beehive. I mean, that is just, you know it. And so, for example, to give you another example, my mother died of the disease of alcoholism. And I understand people who have been through personal abuse, who have felt left out, who have been alone because a parent is not able to be present. That's my wounding. And as a result, I have a deep compassion for people who are an underdog, who are being persecuted, who really get, that other people attack. That's why I'm very into being kind to each other. And I'm very much, I'm very much about being, saying what you mean, but not saying it in a way that's snarky. And I think, honestly, everybody, and, I was watching this the other day. It's funny. I was on I want to say it was Cosmo.com. No, it wasn't. It was like one of those youngthings.com. And this girl was just going on about how cool she was. And yeah, this sucks and that sucks. And I'm watching it and I'm going, you know what? When did snarky become the new cool? Because I don't think you're cool anymore if you're snarky. And I think, I think it's like, that's my new motto. It's like snarky is not cool. You're not cool. Because most snarky people are not smart enough to withstand a real smart snarky, okay? And if you want to be snarky, you better be smart, because you got to have a comeback that's sharp. And most people don't. Yeah, it's not happy. I agree with you. Snarky, like mean. Snarky's like snide. It's kind of a mean way of being. Flawed and happy, good to see you. Let's see. I was told I was mentally handicapped, psychiatric assessment, and she just doesn't want to yet, but she will. My dad was and is an alcoholic. It's very painful, I know. I thought my purpose was to be a mother, and I loved it until I lost 3 children. Maybe it means I was meant to teach or share a message. Yes. See, your wounding over losing your children is something, go back to what I'm thinking of Shanann's mother. She was out there saying, I want to help mothers who have daughters that have been murdered or disappeared, or they're gone or died. And I think that your purpose comes through the greatest pain, because only you can identify with a person who's lost a child. I can't, and I have a pet peeve when people come up to you and, you've lost a parent, and they go, they'll always be with you. I remember looking at somebody and going, no, he's dead. And they're like, but you're intuitive, you're psychic, I'm like, you know what? That's not the time to tell me, because you've never lost a parent. I love when people who've never had an experience tell you to get over it, or it's always with you. I get really pissy, because for me, it's like, no, you don't know. So shut the pie hole and listen, right? 2 ears, 1 mouth. 2, listen. And so it was like, I remember saying to people, one friend of mine said, I know how you feel. I go, no, you really don't. You haven't lost a parent. I love you dearly, but don't say that to me. And she was like, well, what can I say? Just say, I don't know what you're going through, but I just feel for you. I wish I could go through it for you, but I can't. But I can be here with you. And she went, okay. And she said that. And we've had our friendship has gone on ever since. But I think sometimes it's hard, but you have to be able to say to a friend, I just want to tell you that's not supportive. Like what you're telling me, I know you're trying to help me, but I'm experiencing it as a criticism. And the times I've said that to people, they're like, well, I don't mean it that. No, you don't have to defend it. I just want to tell you how I'm experiencing it, so that we could figure out how you can communicate your caring and your love in a way I can hear it. Now I want to come back to you, Gail, because I want to say to you, I don't know if you've ever heard the speaker, Les Brown. He was diagnosed as educationally, mentally retarded. That's what they called it in those days. And he actually went on to marry Gladys Knight and I guess the Pips, but he married her for a while. But Les Brown became one of the most important motivational speakers in our history, really, I think. I think he was just incredible. But there's one thing his story is quite remarkable. He actually went to, he was I want to say adopted, and Miss Mamie Brown, she adopted himself and his, I think his brothers and sisters, but they were not biological, they were familial. So meaning they got to be a family. Anyway, so he was adopted, and Mamie Brown told him, don't listen to what they say. Don't pay no mind to that. You just do what you have to do. And he wanted to be on the radio, right? He wanted to be on the radio. He wanted to be a radio guy. And this is a guy who everybody's like, he's retarded. He can't do it. And what he did was he said, well, if I want to learn how to be on the radio, I got to go to the radio station. So he went every day to the radio station, and he'd say, Les Brown, I'm reporting for work, sir. And the guy at the radio station would be, come on, kid, that's funny, go. And he'd come back and he'd go, Les Brown, reporting for work, sir. And they're like, what do you want to do? He said, anything, I'm here to work, And they kept sending him away. And by the way, this went on. This went on for months. And they would be like, okay, finally. They went, okay, you can come in and help out, and basically it was to dust the knobs, I guess. I don't remember the full story. He tells it much better. But basically the upshot of the whole story is that he watched, he would be cleaning everything, and he watched and he learned. And one day, the radio jockey, who was a drunk, got so drunk he couldn't finish his show. And Les Brown got behind the board, and the rest is history. And he became a top DJ, and in those days it was really a big deal. And he went on to great success as a motivational speaker and all of that. And the thing is that he was diagnosed as being mentally retarded, educationally mentally retarded, meaning he couldn't learn anything and he wasn't going to go anywhere. So what I want to tell you is they're wrong. Don't listen to that stuff. I think we're so ready to listen to what's wrong with us because we actually are not following through on what we want to do. So if we can find something wrong with us, then we can say, well, it's because I've got, I got colitis, and I've had it, or I have, a bad knee, or I have this. And I'm not saying those things aren't, like people don't really have those things, but why is it people who are like in the wheelchairs, handicapped beyond belief, unable to like do simple things, are the people who write these incredible novels? They write these incredible books. It's because that nobody told them that they couldn't. Yet at the same time, they've been told that they have this handicap, but they don't see it. And that's the brilliance of it. So, just don't listen to people. If I listen to people, hi, Janet, good to see you. If I listen to what people told me, I'd be sitting in a corner and be rocking back and forth, I mean, literally. It's Cruz Boston says, I have tears over some of you strong but hurt people in this life, Much love to y'all. And let me tell you something. His why and his purpose. I'm trying to find who lost what. Okay. Irene, I've had 2 daughters pass on. We are the story keepers. One day we can tell us, oh my God, I'm getting truth bumps. Glasses just came off. Wow. Of course, you're story keepers. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm just so moved by what you just said. Is that Irene? I just had to take off my glasses because I just needed a moment. Hold on, I need one more. But here's what I want to tell you. I didn't know how to write. I never knew how to write. No one taught me. I never had formal education in it. I just knew I had to say something. And, where there's that will, if you don't quit, you will become that radio jockey. You will become a best-selling author. It's really interesting because the greatest advice, if you will, I ever got was from, his name just went up on me. He's still alive. Voiceover guy. Okay, Bo Weaver, B-E-A-U Weaver. He's the voice of Entertainment Tonight. He's the voice of MTV. He's a voiceover actor, and I knew him from Los Angeles. And one day, and I always liked to, when I was starting out in voiceover, I was doing voiceover for years, and when I was starting out, I was interviewing people and said, how do you do it? How do you get successful? And Bo said to me, and this was the best advice I ever got, you have to give them the impression that you are not going to go away, and then you don't go away. And I want to tell you, if you keep coming back, and you keep coming back, and you keep coming back, you're going to get good enough to be where you want to be. The key is to come back even if you think it sucks. And luckily, I had such a huge ego. I thought my stuff was brilliant, and I just go, am I ready to be published yet? Now, I met Joel, who just published my latest book. I met him 25 years ago, And the reason I'm saying this to you is I made friends with him. I never worked with him. I wanted to work with him. He was the publisher on The Artist's Way. He also published, he was with Tarcher. They did The Artist's Way, and they also did Conversations with God. So he found those books, and I wanted to work with him. And we became friends, and he liked my work. He said, just keep going, And I worked hard, and I went and I met everybody in the industry, but I was never ready. And then one day, it broke. It broke through because I just wasn't going to quit. And it was because I had to do it. Because if I didn't do it, then I knew that somebody out there would not be able to do what they needed to do. Because I believe energetically, we're kind of like on an energetic train. And what I mean by that is that I'm moving along, and let's say you're right behind me. Well, if I stop, you're going to slam into me. And you might get stopped. So what I mean by that is that, and I want y'all to think about this for a minute. Imagine an artist that you absolutely love. Now, mine was Bruce Springsteen, okay? Because I remember, all of his early work. Loved him. Think of a songwriter, a writer, an artist, somebody in your life that you read or watched or saw something they did that brought you joy or some new place in your life that really helped you. And if you think about that person, I want you to also think, what if they had given up? What if they at some point had said, gee, this isn't going to work. I'm just not going to, you know what? I realize, Born in the USA sounds good. I'm not going to publish this. It sucks. I don't believe in it. But the thing that happens when you're really doing your work is you just keep going. And I've got to tell you, there are days, weeks, hours, months, years when you go, is it ever going to happen? And the thing is that I just didn't give up. That's like, and I remember when my dad was alive, I did my first voiceover demo at the time. My first book got published. And my dad said to me at the time, I actually did my first voiceover demo, and this is years ago. And he said, so how much you pay? I said, it was $800. He goes, 800? I can do it myself here for 200. Like, Papa, I believe it's an investment, and I believe that I am investing in a career. And so I'm going to spend that money. Now they're like 5,000. It's a different world. But, I said, I'm making this investment because I believe in what I'm doing. And so I'm putting my money where my mouth is, because I know in order to get something, I have to invest in it. And he was like, well, okay. And I went on to huge success, I think, in voiceover. Let me just look here. Thank you so much, Gail Clark. Thank you so much, Gail. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the super chat. It's very kind. Little duty run kind of heart. So, I think what I want to say also is that, here we go. I derailed after loss of both parents. Oh gosh, yes. When your parents die, and I had a friend of mine, I want to share about death, and then I want to get back to the other thing. But when my father died, he was my final relative. When my father died, I remember I just laid on the couch. I just couldn't move. And then a friend of mine, my friend Nick, lost his mother, and he was very close to his mother. And, Nick called me, and he was really upset. And he said, Tori, I've been on the couch for 3 months. I can't move. All I do is eat ice cream and watch, videos at the time, movies. And I said, and he was like, well, I got to get off the couch. I said, oh, honey, your mother left you enough money. You can lay there for a year and do nothing. So you just lay there and do nothing. You have that gift. And he said, well, I've got to do something. I said, why don't you just sit there and just make it okay? And experience that grief. Because, and I'm sure you guys have heard me say, grief is love without a place to go. And, when my father died, it's very interesting because the book I talked about today was about my dad. It's kind of a memoir with short stories. But when my father died, and I'm glad you brought this up, Lisa, when my father died, I had nowhere to go. He was it. And I loved my dad. He had some issues, all right? But the thing is, grabbing the water, the thing is about my dad that's really important on this, and the reason I'm sharing this is because when he died, I just took to a pen. Some people take to bed. I took to pen and paper. And I laid there and I would just write out the stories. And I would just write out the stories and write out the stories. And I have like dozens of them, and the time was never right. And one day, I said, I think this is the right publisher. I met him last year, and we talked about it once, and it wasn't anything. And then I sent it to him, and we had a meeting, by the way, in New York. Check this out. We talked about this book, and we want to move it forward. But he said, we were having this conversation. I looked at my watch, and I went, oh my God. He said, what? I said, it's my father's birthday today. He's like, that's wild. And I said, yeah, I know. So, we just talked again, and we're going to try to move it forward. Richard F. Rodling. That sounds so British. It sounds fantastic. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Let's see. Miss Holmes is going to ask about her boys. That is. Yeah, Beth, I'm so sorry for your loss. The story keepers. I just really love the story keepers, Great to see you, Barbara. Thanks for being here. And hey, Frankendoll, I'm glad you joined us. Good to see you. My grandpa always told me can't, never, could, and there is no such thing as a stupid question. I guess there could be stupid questions, but we're not going to address that now. The first short movie was about two sisters who lost their dad, and my two sons have lost their dad in real life. Wow. So, what I want to say to all of you in this is that my writing and my journey to it has been a journey of self-esteem. And self-esteem, how do you get it, right? That's the first question. You can't buy it. You can't go out and buy it. But what you can do is you can do esteemable acts. You can help other people. You can pick up trash when no one's looking and throw it in the garbage. You can put a quarter in someone's meter when no one's looking and it's expired. You can do things. You can go early to a church gathering and set up chairs and then leave if you're not staying. There are things you can do that up your self-esteem, and really you do esteemable acts, and they add up. They add up one at a time, and you feel better and better about yourself. And I can't even begin to tell you how powerful that is. Barbara, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. And I think, what did Crystal say? I missed it. Oh, Crystal, always nice people here. Yeah, there are nice people here. Thank you, Crystal. And, people that can't behave just get to leave. I think that's the big thing. It's so funny. Somebody said to me, you have more people hidden than you actually have on your subscribers. And I went, no, you know what it is? I don't need to get into petty discussions with people because I'm really not, I can't do it. And you understand when I say this to you, I'm a writer. I don't need to put trash in my head. I need to put things in my head that are going to give me the vision to mold something, and I want to say to the moms here too, those of you that lost your children, and certainly I don't know, I haven't experienced that. But I can say, you mold and you work and you work and sometimes things happen that are really, really tragic. And I had a woman once call me, and it was years ago when I was doing online, live readings, And, I'm going to be in the UK. I don't know if you guys saw that list, but anyway, it's Tori Hartman. If one of my mods could put it up, it's torihartman.com/events. That's where all my events are. You can catch my radio shows. I'm going to do some Facebook Lives with some other speakers in the UK, and I'm going to be teaching in the UK. So I know I was going on to something, and then, now I'm going to get something. I forgot what you were saying. You went in circles. I forgot I did go in a circle. It's okay, it'll come back to me. So, by the way, if you think of it, everybody, if you could like this video, if you're listening right now and you can find that little thumbs up button, do that. Please subscribe to the channel. It really does help. And also, if you're watching playbacks, not just me, but other creators, try as much as possible to let the commercials play. And the reason is that's what supports channels. When you're monetized, it's the commercials that support you. So I just want to put that out to you, that that's a really good thing also with all creators. I do that if I'm watching somebody else. When I watch, like I go over to Duty Ron or another friend, I'll just let the commercials play out because it's not that big a deal and it does fund the channel, just in case you didn't know. Here we go. I do everything. Yeah, thank you, Dawn. You're sweet, Pete. Oh, wow. Frankendoll. My two-year-old son died, and I gave birth to my daughter in the same week. There's a word for all the losses, Irene said. What? Losing a wife as a widow, child lost their parent, a child lost their parent orphan, but there's no name for a parent who loses a child. Yeah, Mary, Mary's talking about losing a job, and I'll come back to the parent in a second. But one of the things about losing a job or getting let go from a job is that it hurts, because you feel betrayed. So I want to validate that for you, Mary. And the thing is that even getting a new job, you're still kind of reeling a little bit. But one of the things I want to remind you of, and this is, I think, important for all of us, two things that come forward to me. One is that rejection is God's protection. There was a time when my fables were willing to be published. Somebody was willing to publish them. And I went, no, it's not right. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're not doing this. And then there was another time I had a fashion book out, and the National Enquirer contacted me, and they wanted me to take over for Blackwell. Now, Blackwell was the person who criticized everybody. Oh, that dress sucks, or this sucks. And my publisher was very excited, and I went, oh, I can't do that. They were like, what? I said, no, that's being mean to people. I can't do that kind of work. And they were like, you realize your book could be like an international bestseller. You would be, I go, that's not the way I want to get there. Just not the way I want to get there. So rejection can be God's protection, because had I published the fables then, I wouldn't be where I am with the deck that has changed thousands of lives, hundreds of thousands of lives. I wouldn't be here talking to you right now, because I wouldn't have thought I had anything to say, because I wouldn't have stuck to my guns. I also knew that it was valuable. And so what I want to say to you is rejection is God's protection. When you get out of something, thank God. And I'm going to say something else to you. I don't know if you've heard of the actor Michael Ironside. Wonderful actor, character actor. And Michael once said to me, I was friends for a long time with his wife, and I'd go to barbecues at their house. It was like the most fun. And I remember Michael once said to me, Tori, every time I go on to a new film, I always kind of say, oh, I wonder who I'm here to be of service to. And that's such a wonderful way of looking at, being let go of a job, or getting, having to move. You have to say, like, I wonder, like, when I walked away from, my prior situation, and I'm living where I am now, it was like, I wonder who I get to be of service to now, And here I am in like this little burg of Asheville, I was doing stuff in LA and helping voiceover people, and I was like, well, but here I am talking to you, right? So every no leads to a better yes. And Mary, there may be someone at your new job that needs to hear your healing words. And so we have to remember that you go or grow. And sometimes if you get fired from a job, or so, it's like, the thing is, yes, it's sad. Yes, I feel, and I don't want to invalidate that. And yet the place that you're meant to go, if we really can stop driving our car, looking in the rearview mirror, we can see the horizon ahead. And, I've often said that I don't want to live in my life anymore with one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas. It's either on the gas and going, or I'm like sitting there looking at the scenery, So I think the goal in this conversation is you're either driving or you're not. Back to the child. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So what I want to say to you is that there is I was doing a reading years ago, and this woman came to me. Actually, by the way, for those of you who have lost children, I did on my channel. I think it's the best, honestly, I think it's one of the best talks I've ever done. I mean, it's called When a Loved One Dies, and it's about a reading I did for a mother who lost her son. I didn't know it at the time, but he came through and he talked, and some of the stuff that happened in that was really, and I'm telling you, that whole conversation around that was just mind blowing. Okay, so I really encourage you, if you haven't, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. You can watch it later. They're like, I'm leaving. But if you haven't seen that, I really encourage you to go watch that, because it's something that changed my life about death, you know? And anyway, I had this woman come in, and it was like this, I'm looking at her and I'm like having this horrible feeling, and I'm going, I don't know why I feel so bad. I said, but I have something really, really bad has happened, and that's why you're here. And she was like, yeah, it did happen. And I was feeling this feeling of like, I said, is it something with your car backing up or something? She and her husband backed their car up over their 2-year-old who was crawling in the driveway. And I have to tell you, it was the most gut-wrenching, like, you know, they thought it was just like, anyway, I don't want to go into all the details of it. It was not their fault. It was quite it was just very tragic. Anyway, what happened in the reading for me was that I was able to say to her, and she's like, I just want to know why. I just want to know why. And what I was able to say to her is, you know what? I really have no idea. And I wasn't going to sit there and try to make it good and give her some kind of spiritual thing, you know, that like, let's fix this. And I said, you know what? Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason for tragedy. Sometimes tragedy is what it is. The only thing I've learned from death is that death is about the living, not the person that dies. It's about the people who are left behind. It's who we become from our experiences. It's who we rise into from the things that happen. And, you know, it's what we can make of the tragedies and the battles and all of the things we go through in our life, because that's all I know. Now, as far as your child, I'm like horrified, and I feel so awful. And I said this to her, I said, there's just no rhyme or reason. And she looked at me and she said, that makes me feel better. I can't tell you, I went, you know, because she was actually, she was Catholic. She went to the church, she went to her priest and stuff. And he said, well, God had to call her home. And she just said, I couldn't listen to that. And I said, you know, there's a time for things. And I think sometimes people do a spiritual bypass and they're so ready to get you into let's recover. And there's a thing of like, you know, I got to tell you, I can only imagine like how horrifying it is, right? I mean, you have to like, you can't just go, guess what, everyone? You know, I lost my father and I'm like, it was his time. Well, guess what? You're coming in for a crash landing if that's how you feel. Unless you hated him, that's a different thing. But even still, you might come in for a crash landing. I have to tell you, my mother, okay, who I had more problems with because of her drinking and everything else. I was 15 when she died. And no, don't feel sorry for me. It's okay, I'm fine. But the thing is, I was 15 and my dad obviously died way later. I had more pure grief with my father because I didn't have issues to work out with him. You know, my mother, it was left with an incomplete song. The song stopped halfway, the feed dropped. And so there was nowhere for me to go. So I'm just going to look at what some of the things are being said, because I think, yeah, I agree, Barbara, you know, and I'm glad Barbara said, so important to know when God closes doors, he opens a window. But the hallways are a bitch. Okay. So, you know, I just want to say that, yes, he does. And we can know that. But how many of us have spent massive time in that hallway? And I just want to say, you know, and that's the thing. Lisa, thank you. My children, oh my gosh, two daughters too. Oh my gosh. Okay. Lisa said, Tori, you're making me cry. My parents would never wanted to leave me as this basket case. Ugh. And I want to tell you, you may have to be there until you're not there. You know, because one of the things like well-meaning people say, you know, a friend of my dad's Silver spoon gal. Her parents left her buku money, so she never had to work after her parents died. And she just kind of sat there and thought about herself, which is fine. Okay, I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm going to mean disrespect on this part. She said, I have not been able to function at all since my dad died, and you won't either. You'll never get over it. And I thought, don't put that on me. I don't have the luxury of sitting in my house and doing nothing. And, I don't. I've got to make a living. I mean, that's where I've been. They're like, where's Tori? Well, I'm out trying to write books and do stuff because I got to make a living. But, I want to say that to you that, when a parent dies, at least for me, it sucks the wind out of the room. All the air goes out of the room. And you're like, I don't know about you, but it feels like every time I've heard that when I've heard that someone I love has died, everything goes numb. And I almost feel like this heavy, like my feet are made of cement. And all of the energy drains to my feet, and it's almost like I'm paralyzed. I can't move. And so I want to tell you, the fact that you are sad about a parent really tells me the degree to which you love them. And, when they build a skyscraper, let's say, for example, 30 stories up, like right in New York or something, like these massive skyscrapers. Well, they actually have to put pilings 60 stories down, or at least 1.5. So I think it's like 45 stories. The point I'm making is that I want you to think about that. In order for you to love somebody, you have to put roots in. You have to be there. You have to make that commitment to yourself that I am going to invest in this person. And when you invest, they can leave. That is absolutely true. They can leave and they can die, and you may never see them in this existence. And it is sad. And the question that I answered for myself, and only you guys can answer this when you've gone through that, is the question I was able to answer for myself is, am I going to be destroyed because he died, or am I going to soar because he lived? And it was a very, very difficult choice. And I remember sitting on the plane coming home from New York after burying my dad in Arlington, and it was actually on my mother's birthday. I was flying home, and I remember sitting there and thinking, I could just sink into some kind of depression and live somewhere and never have to work or do anything again. And then I sat with that thought for a while, what being destroyed would look like for me. And I thought, oh, that's so comfortable, because I think of it as camp. I don't have to work, ooh, camp, But then I realized that that I couldn't do that it wasn't who my father left me to be. It wasn't my father's, it wasn't what he went to war for. He jumped on D-Day. It wasn't what people have sacrificed so much for me to be here and to do. And so only you can make that decision. Is life going to, my dad used to say, is life going to be an extraordinary adventure, or is it going to be a problem to solve? And for a long time I go, it's a problem to solve, okay? And he'd be like, fair enough, And then one day, I think after the near-death experience, after the fables came, after I started doing this work, the more I got into it, the more I studied these fables, the more I enjoyed the world of make-believe and creating and writing and sharing, the more I recognized that I was doing what I came here to do. And, you are too. You are too in this moment. And at any moment, you can find your source. You can find your footing and move into the next intended thing in life. So I want to just say that to you, that, when I talk about being a writer, here I had this day-to-day. I have to tell you, I had this day-to-day where it was like, and I had to run to, because I also had a live talk online. I just got the breathe from my phone, just told me to breathe. Okay. I had to run out today. I had a live thing that was a live feed. Then I came back, and then I had 2 radio interviews, one video interview. And in the midst of this, in the 10 minutes I had, the publisher called me and we talked about the book, and he likes it and we're moving forward. And the thing that happened was I sat back just before I went on with you and I went, this is pretty freaking exciting. You know, I'm living this life. Like, I'm in it, you know? And I'm finally the one who's going, wow. Because, you know, you fantasize about doing something. You go, yeah, I can do that. And you're thinking it. And suddenly you're in it. And suddenly it's happening to you. And I want to share with you that living the dream is the greatest thing that can happen. Because the truth is, I am living the dream of being a successful writer, a successful author, and I love it. And I love that I get to share my truth with you. I love that the pain of my past, the vulnerability, the imperfectly perfect way I do things, my faith, you know, my belief in God doesn't have to be something that I sit in a room with other people to do. My mother used to say, the temple is within you. And I want to support anybody's faith. You know, I think that the way you find the God of your understanding, whatever that's going to look like, I respect it. So let me just see. Let's see. Yay! Lula free. Tori, I can write in my head, but not on paper. Well, Irene, then you can write. Here's what you do. Ready for this? Google, and you can learn it. You're not dead yet. You can learn this. Go on to Google. I have what's called Dragon. It's a dictation program. And there are times when the words come too quick. So in my head, I'll turn on Dragon and I'll just talk. And I've learned how to go, you know, today's a good day, period, new paragraph. We were going to sit in the park, period, new paragraph, you know, underline, you know, and I've learned how to speak through and talk an entire, an entire blog or an entire section of the book. I just talk through a proposal of a book. So when I'm saying this to you, you can write. You can write. If you can speak, and it looks like you can write here, you can certainly write. Just make sure you reread it and check it, because otherwise you'll have a lot of crazy things to say. Thank you, Ms. Holmes. It's not your choice, I didn't, but others need our help. We need each other. Beth, what a beautiful thing to say. I just want to really shout out to Beth. You know, I think that I can't, you know, I really don't know what it's like to, I don't know what it's like to lose a child. You know, I know what it's like to lose my dog, all right? And all I can say is that I know for me, because Frank, who I lost 7 months ago yesterday, was my heart dog. He was, oh, it's right there. He was the one that loved me. And losing him just sucked the wind out of my sails for a while, you know. So I want to say I only understand that. So I can only imagine the kind of pain when there's someone you're relating to and talking to and watching them grow and it just stops. I can't even, you know. So Dejanay, let's see. I'm a musician, singer, and drummer. Yes, both, because I dream about it before, but not now. After a toxic musician relation, I have to start again, but everything's possible. Yeah. Yeah, I do agree. Fur babies are our family too, but I want to just differentiate for people, you know, that while it's devastating for me because I haven't had a child. So I can't possibly compare that to someone's loss that is so, you know, I can't even put it down. I just can't even get with it. Yeah, Irene, you can totally do it. You know, you can talk. Oh yeah. Stacy, you're right. You can talk into your notepad on your phone. Don't even start with me about my notepad. It is so full. It's like, and then, you know, I'm like going on and on. I actually dictated a whole thing on my notepad, thinking it was my notepad, and it was actually a text I sent a friend. It was like this monstrosity, and it was like, she messaged me back and said, did you mean to send this to me? I was in the car, so there you go. All right. And yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's a very hard loss, Janet. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, Edelweiss said, I'm getting ready to lose a dog that just loves me more than life. I know it sucks. Oh my God, yes. And the thing is, losing, I think that we spend so much time fearing death that we don't live. And I'm going to tell you something my dad said to me that was really good, and I've kind of always said it to people. I go, well, I could do that. And he looked at me one day, he said, yeah, you think you can do that? I said, yeah. He said, well, why don't you do it? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, go ahead, do it. And I was like, okay. And he was like, because once you get there, then you can tell me I don't want to do it, okay? And I went, oh, all right. So I became successful at one thing, then another. And he was like, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. He was like, okay. The point I'm making is that get there, get to the top of the mountain, and then decide if you like the view. You can't see the view from the top of the mountain until you're there. And then you can adjust your life. I'm really seeing where I want to be with my work, and it's very exciting. It's really exciting. Oh, Nikki B. Oh, 20. My cat was 20 before she. Oh yeah. Oh no, the tumor under her tongue. I know, Nikki. It is never easy to lose a loved one, and oh, Lisa, yeah. Yeah, when I lost Dad, I learned empathy because you felt it. Yeah. I think it's, oh, wow, Nikki, 20 years. Oh my gosh. Animals watch us grow and are intertwined with our kids' jobs, lives. Yeah, memories. Thank you, Cruz Boston. Really lovely. Yeah, we've got a lot of nurses here. Nursing is a very interesting, energetic as well. Anybody want to hear about my nurse story? Let's see. Cruz Boston. Yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, Ange V. Oh gosh, yeah, lost my dog, cried for months. You know what? There's still moments for me. Now, everything is different. Every dog is different, every pet, every person. But there are moments when I'll just feel this sadness. And you know what I want to say to all of you? It's bittersweet. It's painful, but it's a pain that I would never pass. I would never give up 1 minute of loving my dad, loving Frank, so that I could avoid the pain of losing them. And I think that's the place I got to, was that I would never surrender a minute of time with them. And in fact, if I had one wish and my wish could only come true for 5 minutes, it would be 5 minutes to chat with my dad and just talk about ridiculous shit. Stuff, and that's what I would say, so we know, for those of us, and I think most of you on the feed, who have loved someone and you've lost them, really, you would never, ever trade the time. Some people say, oh, I wish that person never existed. Not really, because if you really wanted that, your life would be so empty without them. You never would have become who you are, and that just doesn't really fly, Happy Nurses Week! Oh my God, persnickety! You, Joanna, and you're so funny. I love you coming back, because most nurses get it into due to caring for people. Nurses are loved. Okay, so I'm going to mention about nurses really quick. Most nurses come into nursing because there is something they didn't get to heal, or someone in their family who was so sick and nobody really knew what the answer was, or there's something around illness or sickness in the family that a nurse, and by the way, please, I'm sorry if you're a doctor, I don't mean any disrespect to you, but I find the nurses, I just go directly to nurse and I go, okay, here's what's going on. They go, oh, it's probably this. And sure enough, the doctor who has 80 degrees says, let me look this up, 80 degrees on the wall, and they go, let me look this up. Oh, it's probably this. Why didn't I just ask the nurse? It's because the thing is that there's a very intuitive calling with the nurse. There's very much the wounding that happened in the past brings you into nursing, and an understanding of the process of something so that you can go through that process and share your experience with other people. So I hope that made sense to you. Anybody who's a nurse. My granddaughter's going to school. She's ENT right now. Right on. Oh my gosh, that's so. And Gail Clark said, dead on. And then Barbara said, my father died suddenly right after Christmas. It's always harder on the ones left behind, but I know that he's at peace and not in pain. So that's what gives me peace. And you know what gives me peace is that, and I know this to be true from having had a near-death experience. What gives me really a lot of peace is that I wouldn't have been able to go on after my father died if I didn't really recognize that I will see him at the end. I will see him. He will come get me when it's time for me to go. And I know that Frank will be with him, and I know that the friends and people I've loved who've crossed will be there. And that gives me a great deal of comfort. And I do see it. I do see that and feel it. And I think that has given me, a day doesn't go by. I don't miss my father. Yeah, Ladybug, so true. I like Kelly Bell. Yeah, great, Dawn. Yeah, congrats. That's very kind of you to say. Yeah, nurses work their butts off. I agree, Cruz Boston. I think the souls are there waiting for you, And so I think if we are willing, and this is what I want to say as I round out this evening, if we are willing to go through the crap, it's like as the Bible, it's like, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, don't pitch a tent there. That's my saying. Keep going, just keep moving. It's like, I feel like move. Sometimes I'll have like a little rush hour in my kitchen with the dogs. I'm going, moo, 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 and they're like, ah, and they run because they know you gotta move. I can't feed you if you're standing there, So the point I'm making is that we have to be willing to dive in and feel this together and then go, you know what? It's going to be okay. Because on the other side, I'm going to get to see them. And you're here for a while, and there's a reason you're left behind. That's what I want to say to all of you, is that your reason you're here, and it's just, I know my moo. Okay, don't pitch a tent in the back. Yeah, exactly. Lori, really, you're in RN too? Oh my gosh. It's a healing night. Oh no, I found my hubby dead in the bed. He'd been dead for some hours, and it was such a shock. My brain wanted to take it all in at first. Felt so much sad. He was 52. Oh my gosh, Janet, that's young. A lot of people complain about the internet taking away from socializing, but honestly, it's amazing because we can find so many people and connect instantly. I agree. Gail says, I've lost a child I have had a child who's now 42. I now live my own, and a lot of love goes to my dog, Lottie. Yay! Her loss would be devastating in my life at this time. Dogs know when it's time to go. And I told Frank he couldn't die till after I finished my last book, and he listened. My dog on vacation. Yeah, Edelweiss, you're taking your dog on vacation. I love you. Ladybug, really? You're an RN? This is just amazeballs. Let me see. Yeah, my daughter's an RN studying for her. I'm so proud of her. Good for you, Kelly Bell. So, I'm going to actually, because I've got to eat something and I've got to finish the proposal for this publisher for tomorrow. So I could stay on with you guys for a long time. Thank you so much to those of you who did super chats. Thank you. For those of you who participated, thank you. And I want to leave you with, please give a thumbs up. Please, if you can. Like and subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe, hit the little bell, because then you'll know when I'm on. And if you would, share this page, share these videos with other people. It really helps, because bringing new people in, giving them a chance to be part of what we're doing, I think is really helpful. And I do my Wednesday Night Live. Oh yeah, Janet, go look at that video. Y'all are a great group. So I want to bless everybody. I want to just send you out wonderful, wonderful healing energy. And also remember, say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean. And be kind to each other. The mugs, Say What You Mean, are actually right on my page. If you want a mug, I've got to get one. And all of you have a really, really blessed night. Thanks for joining me tonight, and I will see you guys real soon. All right. Much love, everybody. Bye for now.